last night, and to go into their rooms and know that I wasn't going to turn the rain machines on. I know that I wasn't going to turn their monitor on. I wasn't going to kiss them to bed tonight. It was that's why last night was just horrible. I couldn't do it. I want everybody to just come home.
Would you prefer that when you're one of your coworkers?
Oh my God, no.
Okay.
I cannot have that.
But the longer it's going, the more surreal it gets.
The more bad I look. Hello, I'm Lynn. Welcome to my channel. Please like this video, subscribe to and share this channel to help me spread the word about systemic abuse and stop the spread of transgenerational trauma. That's what I'm mainly about here. But I look at it in many different contexts, and today it's true crime. I closely follow several true crime cases because I feel like I have a distinct understanding of how it feels to be deep in the midst of an abusive relationship with family and friends all over the place. Because when you are a survivor of childhood trauma, you tend to just be attracted to those kinds of relationships. And when someone is clearly being victimized, I feel an urgent sense of duty to help find justice for that person. It's also really easy for me to recognize the language of abusers because I've been involved in so many of those kinds of relationships and because I have followed so many true crime cases. Today I want to show the startling similarities between a very fresh, active, unsolved missing persons case, Maya Millete, I believe that's how it's pronounced, a 39-year-old mom of 3 in Chula Vista, California, and the very famous case of Shanann Watts, the pregnant mother of 2 who was murdered by Chris Watts in 2018. We know for sure that Chris Watts killed his wife and 2 children, but for around 72 hours she was missing, and before he confessed, he gave a cringe-worthy TV interview for the ages. First, I want to play for you the interview of Larry Millete, the husband of Maya, the woman who's currently missing. Then I'm going to play the TV interview of Chris Watts before he confessed to murdering his wife and children. And as I do, I'm going to point out some red flags and similarities. First, here's Larry Millete.
Last time you saw her and what was going on?
Thursday night. We got into a kind of an argument. We've been having problems.
So, right there, why was it necessary for him to say that they got into an argument and that they've been having problems?
About a year.
About a year.
Down and stuff like that, but after that, I give her space.
So just tell me, so you
He
got
gives
into an
her
argument,
space.
and then the last time you saw her was actually in the house?
Yes.
Okay.
Thursday.
So she didn't take a vehicle.
No.
No one saw her leave.
No, but on Friday, I could still hear her, but I didn't physically see her when I got home. But that's normal too, because we have lots of bedrooms, it's a 2-story house, and we kind of I give her space.
So I want you guys to know that I also technically separated from my husband before I got divorced, and we lived in a 2-story house in separate bedrooms, but there's no way that we would have not physically seen each other in a span of that period of time while we were living together in that space, especially with what was going on in our marriage.
But that's why every time someone says Thursday, yes, it's physically, or visually see her, but for me, it's Friday night. I can hear her wrestling around, making dinner for herself in another bedroom. I'm sleeping with the kids in another bedroom.
Okay.
So upstairs and she's downstairs, kind of deal, kind of like a roommate thing. It's kind of like giving each other space. Well, sure. I don't need the space. She always wants the space.
Got it.
She always wants the space.
So it was Friday, and then
why was that
you
necessary?
left or went somewhere and then came back and she wasn't there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I left her with my 2 girls because they do their homeschool.
Mm-hmm.
and then I just had my son with me. So when I came back, she was still there on Friday.
Another thing to notice is that they have 2 girls that are 11 and 9, I believe it is. And then they have a 4-year-old son. And that's kind of common in marriages where a couple has a couple of kids and then they kind of start having problems, and they reach kind of this point where they're like, all right, we're either going to divorce or we're going to try to have another child to revive the marriage. That may have been what happened here. They tried to have another child to revive the marriage, and 4 years later, they're like, nope, it didn't work.
We can hear her downstairs, like after I'm done giving the kids baths and feeding them and everything. And on Saturday morning, when her parents came by, her door was locked. I found the keys to the bedroom, and I opened it, and she was already gone. So maybe she went to a morning sunrise hike, because she didn't go jeeping because that's one of her other hobbies, the Jeep group. And, she would have taken that. So assumed maybe one of her friends picked her up, and, they went hiking or wine tasting. She likes to go wine tasting, Temecula. That's her other thing, or brunch.
In the morning? Wine tasting?
After that, like at night, we're okay, she hasn't come home yet. Which is sometimes okay. She'd go out maybe for drinks or something. She usually doesn't drink a lot, but recently she's been, doing that. The latest she would be home like 2:30 or 3:30 in the morning. After that, that's kind of like out of the ordinary.
Sure.
So my sister-in-law was recommending, hey, maybe they start doing the neighbors, the cameras and everything, trying to figure out if when she left, like they can see it, but they can't really because it was nighttime kind of deal. We're just...
Now that's not true, because nighttime cameras have infrared light, don't they? I mean...
Larry, just tell me, how worried are you, and what do you think happened? Where do you think she is?
Before I wasn't really worried. I was kind of like worried, but, I wasn't like totally worried until the birthday. I was thinking, okay, maybe, like she's just blowing off steam, just like, doing what she told me before, where she wants everyone to leave her alone. Because before I used to get her family involved, like, hey, she's not coming home, and then why'd you call my family,
So he's coming across very much as an aggrieved person. He's been left by somebody. And I want you to listen to how he very often takes kind of exasperated, like, breaths. Now, that's common for people who are kind of nervous doing an interview, but it's very pronounced with him. Listen.
I just want everyone to leave me the thing alone. But, I was like, okay, this time I think she stepped up her game. Like she's blocking everyone. But now that, she missed our daughter's birthday, and like with all this pressure with the media and everything, there's something keeping her from contacting us. So my sister-in-law's, I don't really try to think about that stuff because
there's something keeping her from contacting us. So wait a minute. Rather than saying, oh my God, what's happening? There must be something horribly wrong. There must be something going on. They're saying, there's something, she's gone too far this time. Why? What's keeping her? Do you see?
It's like mind-numbing, but I'm trying to stay positive. But, when
I'm trying to stay positive.
When she's hiking, and she can't get her phone, like, well, her phone will be right next to her, Like, she wears fabletics, so it would be in her pocket.
She wears fabletics?
I don't know what's keeping her from, contacting anyone, but this pressure should be enough pressure to say, hey, you guys, I'm okay.
Right.
So, I'm not quite sure what...
So he's insinuating that the only way she would reach out and tell her family she's okay is because of the media pressure. As if that isn't her normal character. And the rest of her family says that her normal character is to always be in touch and to always be responsible and to be so it just sounds extremely weird for me for him not to be worried. he wants to push it off as something that she's left us, and it's her job to get in contact with us so that we don't worry about her.
To think, but you know, I'm still trying to, you know, keep my head up, trying to say, hey, you know, keep positive and say, I'm hoping, you know, like she'd just come home. You know, even though this whole situation is embarrassing. I don't know what
All right, that triggered me right there. Do you see the perspective of this individual? The perspective isn't, this situation is scary, it's terrifying, something is horrifying. It's an embarrassing. He's embarrassed by this situation. He's going to lose face. So what is the perspective of this person? The perspective is of somebody who wants to have an image, and the image is being broken down.
thing. But the longer it's going, the more like surreal it gets.
The more bad I look.
You know, what they say is like the first 48, 72 hours is the most critical. You know, I've seen enough movies and, you know, documentaries about this kind of stuff. So, like, you know, the worst case scenario is basically, you know, something's happened, like, very terrible. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Right. I mean, how worried are you?
So then he goes into, since she's... Now I can go into the motive, since she hasn't contacted us, I should start to put on the worried face. He knows what's happened. That means he appears to be in the know of what's happened, because he's acting mad, and now he's acting like, oh, it's been the 48 hours, now I should act worried.
Do you think there's still a chance that she could voluntarily have left and she
Big
just
breath.
needs time? How worried are you?
that's what I'm hoping for. And this is like really whoa, you know, come on, why did you have to do this, the whole thing? But I'm
Why'd you have to do this?
shaken, but again, like, most of the time it's just numbing. Like, you know, surreal kind of deal. I'm just
Numbing.
worried about her, and
Meaning
trying
I
to
don't
keep things
feel.
normal with the kids, because I know they don't show it, but, you know, it's really affecting them. So,
When she didn't surface for your daughter's birthday, that was
yeah,
really
that
unlike
was
her.
the pinnacle. Yeah, that was like a gut-wrenching feeling. And, you know, you break down a little bit. It's like, well, you know, she would never, not even say, hey, honey, you know, happy birthday, kind of deal. So,
And they've
That
and your 11-year-old's old enough. Has she asked? Like, are they asking?
yeah, she's asking, but she's kind of like me, you know, keep yourself in the shell. Don't really want to, you know, open up.
See, he just said something critically important there. She's kind of like me, keep it in the shell. What that means is, we don't tell you how we really feel. We got all this stuff bottled up inside, and we don't tell you what's really going on inside. So all this stuff he's saying, it's a game.
How many times has she left before, and how long has it been?
In the past, like, before, she would just, like, stay at the park or park somewhere or go, like, in the parking lot, and the, you know, that's years back, even this past year, you know, she just stay away. This year, she'd, like, you know, like, go out, drink with friends or stay at a friend's house, you know, and try to sleep it off. Couple months,
He's portraying her as a heavy drinker who needs to sleep it off at friend's house.
been, you know, like, wanting her space, so she'll go out with family to places, and she'll just go out for days and stuff like that. But at least I know where she's at.
So how
You know?
when she's gone, right? So but when she has left, how long? What is the longest she's been gone for?
Like, maybe a day for, like, till 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning kind of deal.
That's the sound someone gives when they are being pressed for answers that they don't know the answer to, because they're making crap up.
So
That's about it.
never more than a day or two.
Oh, yeah, never more than a day.
Okay, never more than a day,
Yeah.
and then you always
Yeah.
kind of knew where she was at. Okay.
Because she doesn't
Not
do
more
it.
than a day,
Okay.
basically, or the next day. You know, again, I always tell her, we have 3 kids, you know, you can't be doing this kind of stuff. And, yeah, she would never be that irresponsible not to say, hey, I'm okay.
So it's let me just tell you what he just did. He just portrayed her as somebody who, you know, goes out and drinks and sometimes needs to sleep it off at a friend's house, but never more than a day. Well, she's never. He just put this entire persona out there that was completely unnecessary and not germane to this story whatsoever.
Was there anybody that wanted to hurt her? Was there any other guy? I hate to ask, but
like, I don't know. I told the police, she really likes hiking.
Okay.
Wine tasting, so Temecula and stuff like that. But I don't know what else to think. Like, who would, kidnap her? Or
would she go hiking by herself?
So automatically, it's a kidnapping story.
So she was a pretty experienced hiker.
Not experienced. She was training for this hike that me and her.
So he talks about all this hiking. And then he's asked, oh, so she's an experienced hiker? Oh, no, I'm not going to give her that much credit. But we've trained, but I'm not going to give her credit. But there's all these videos of her hiking, but I'm not going to give her credit as an experienced hiker. So I almost feel like he's trying to say, oh, well, it is quite possible that he's trying to set up a plausible story scenario where she did go out hiking alone and could have had an accident because she's not that experienced of a hiker, but she did like hiking enough to go out hiking alone all the time.
Tried when, like 10 years ago, before we had kids, down the Colorado River and the Grand Canyon. Anyway, it takes about a day to go down there. So she's been hiking and hiking. It's kind of a stress release. And she wanted to do this, like a 7 hiking trail, like, Twin Sisters, Devil's Peak, or Potato Chip Rock.
I mean, that's pretty.
That she keeps mentioning. And I was like, well,
that's a lot of hiking, you
guys.
guys.
In a car, emotionally for you. I know you said you're kind of just numb and you're trying to take care of 3 children, but I mean, how are you doing emotionally with this? I mean, this is.
Trust me, I've been emotionally, physically, mentally drained. It's no sleep, not eating. Just my face looked like it just aged. Like, I don't know. But the main thing is I can't really think straight.
So, did you hear that last answer? The question is, how are you emotionally? And he talks about how he can't sleep and he can't eat and how his face looks. He didn't say one thing about how she might think and how worried he is about what condition she's in and where she might be. Nice guy. And now here's Chris Watts.
Watts. W-A-T-T-S.
Wow. What's going on right now around your house?
And right now you got K-9 units, the sheriff's department.
Now remember that this is, we know Chris Watts killed his wife and children, but at this point they're just missing and we don't know. And he is not admitting anything. He's pretending he doesn't know anything.
Everybody's like they're doing their best right now to figure out like if they can get a scent and see where they went. If they went on foot, they went in a car, or they went somewhere. And right now it's just like they've been on point. They're going through the house trying to get a scent, and hopefully they can pick something up to where.
What I want you to pay attention to is the flatness in his voice, how it rarely fluctuates up or down in any way, how he doesn't emote at all. Does that sound familiar?
It's going to lead to something.
What happened? Your wife came home. Tell me what's.
She came home from the airport 2 a.m. and I left around 5:15. She was still here. And like about 12:10 in that afternoon, her friend Nicole showed up at the door. Like I had texted Shanann a few times that day.
See how he's rocking back and forth?
Called her, say, but she never got back to me, but she wasn't getting back to any of her people as well. And that's what really
You can't see it here, but in videos where you can see his full body, he's squeezing his arms. And he's going like this.
Learned a lot of people's, like, she's not getting back to her, like, she doesn't get back to me, that's fine, like, she gets busy during the day, but she didn't get back to her people, which was very concerning. And Nicole called me when she was at the door, and that's when I came home, and then walked in the house, and nothing was vanished, nothing was here. I mean, she wasn't here, the kids weren't here, nobody was here.
What's your wife's name?
Shanann, S-H-A-N-A-N-N.
What's your kids?
Bella and Celeste.
How do you spell it? Celeste.
C-E-L-E-S-T-E.
He almost rolls his eyes when he says their names, like, oh, that's their names, and I just killed them.
How old are your daughters?
Bella's 4, Celeste is 3.
See how his jaw is set?
How many times did you try calling her?
I called her 3 times, texted her about 3 times, just to say, you know, what's going on. Like, because after I called her and texted her once, it's like, maybe she was just busy. Like, she had just gotten back, you know, like everybody's probably calling her from her trip. She just got back from Arizona, and I figured that she was just busy. But when her friend showed up, that's what it was like. It registered, like, all right, this isn't right.
Do you think she just took off? Do you think?
I mean, right now I don't even want to just like throw anything out there. Like, I hope that.
Now, that's almost exactly what Maya Millete said. I don't want to just, I don't want to guess. I don't know.
That she's somewhere safe right now and with the kids. But, I mean, could she just taken off? I don't know. But if somebody has her and they're not safe, like, I want them back now. Like, that's what's in my head. Like, if they're safe right now, they're going to come back. But if they're not safe right now, that's the not knowing part. Like,
now listen again to the perspective. Listen to the perspective here. Is he thinking coming from the perspective of, oh my God, what is going on with my wife and children? Are they safe? Where, in what condition are they in? Are they scared? I need to get to them. Are they hurt? Has something terrible happening to them? I can't bear the thought of the pain and torture that might be happening. Who has them? Do you hear any of that here? What perspective is he speaking from?
if they're not safe. Last night, I had every light in the house on. I was hoping that I would just ran over by the kids running in the door and just like barrel rushing me.
He's thinking about...
And it was just a traumatic night trying to...
He's thinking about how traumatic it was for him that they were gone.
Be here. I mean, yeah, my kids are my life. I mean, those
my life.
Light up my life.
They're
and
my
like,
life.
I mean, last night, like during when they usually eat dinner, it was just like I miss them. Like, I mean, I miss telling them, hey, you got to eat that, or you're not gonna get your dessert. And just like you're not gonna get your snack after. I miss that. Like I miss them. Cuddle.
I miss. I'm worried. I'm worried about what's going on. I was worried about what was going on with them. I was worried about what they were doing. I was worried.
Up on their couches. They have like a Minnie Mouse couch and a Sophia couch that they cuddle up on and watch, Bubble Guppies or something. And it was just like, it was tearing me apart last night, and I needed that. I needed that last night, and for nobody to be here last night and to go into their rooms and know that I wasn't going to turn the rain machines on. I know that I wasn't going to turn their monitor on. I wasn't going to kiss them to bed tonight. It was that's why last night was just horrible. I couldn't do it. I want everybody to just come home. Like wherever they're at, come home. That's what I want.
He knows where they're at. He knows they're not safe.
Where's she gone for? She was on. She came back Sunday. You said at 2 at night.
Yeah, because her flight got delayed from Arizona because of like other storms around the nation.
See how he's squeezing his arms?
She get home like 11. She got home
his
at
whole
like
body.
48. She got in bed about 2.
What was she going for? Like family trip or what?
It was a Thrive direct sales. It was a local event that was down there between a bunch of leaders in the company.
And that day she was back. I mean,
I left work early that morning, like 5:15, 5:30. So like barely, she barely gotten into bed pretty much.
This might be a tough question, but did you guys get into an argument before she left?
It wasn't like an argument. We had an emotional conversation, but I'll leave it at that. But
we had an emotional conversation. Isn't that a shock? So guess who else had an emotional conversation or an argument, you might say, the night before they went missing?
But I just want them back. I just want them to come back. And if
But you know
they're
they
not
won't.
safe right now, that's what's...
My last question is, if your wife can see this, if she can watch this...
Here we go.
What would you like to tell your wife and your kids?
Shanann, Bella, Celeste, if you're out there, just come back. Like, if somebody has her, just please bring her back. I need to see everybody. I need to see everybody again. This house is not complete without anybody here.
I need to see everybody. I need you to come back. I need you.
That's it.
How about, please, whoever has my wife and children, please bring them back. That's what a man who is not guilty of just annihilating his family would be saying to somebody who he believes just kidnapped his family. Keep that in mind. So, as you can see, the similarities in the way these guys talk about their missing wives is absolutely astonishing. But that's not where the similarities in these cases stop. In both cases, the couples were having marital problems and were literally on the verge of divorce. In both cases, there's an affair or an alleged affair. These two facts make it a very volatile situation. In both cases, the security systems in the houses were conveniently broken or shut off just when law enforcement needed it most to check the couple's whereabouts. In both cases, the mother just vanished from the home with the husband being the last person who saw her. In both cases, she left everything at home that she would normally take with her, but in the Maya case, her phone and credit card that has not been used are still missing. In both cases, law enforcement immediately issued a search warrant and thoroughly searched the house with cadaver and scent dogs. In the Shanann Watts case, Chris fully cooperated and ended up confessing, initially only confessing to killing Shanann, then later his daughters. In the Maya Millete case, Larry began to fully cooperate. He gave his cringeworthy interview on ABC 10, but only via voice. Then he lawyered up, and we haven't seen him since. What I'd like to do now is take you behind the scenes to a few scenes from Chris Watts' law enforcement interview when he finally confesses to killing his wife. It took several hours to get this out of him, so I'm only showing you a few clips out of something like 12 hours of interviews with Chris Watts. At first, he adamantly denies everything. Then law enforcement tells him they know he's having an affair, and he realizes that they know more about him than he's sharing. Then he abysmally fails a polygraph test, and one of the investigators offers him a way to save face with the people he cares about most, his family, friends, and coworkers. So again, he doesn't care about what happened to his family and the pain and suffering they went through. He cares about how he looks to his friends and family, and probably most the woman he's having the affair with. So when that suggestion is put into his head, he asks for his dad, who he calls his hero and the guy he is most like, to come into the room because his dad has flown to Colorado from North Carolina and has been waiting for several hours to talk to Chris. Detective Coder says, yes, we'll bring him in, but please tell him what happened. So his dad comes in and then tells his dad that Shanann killed his babies. So he killed Shanann. And his dad hates Shanann so much that he takes it hook, line, and sinker, shows absolutely no grief or remorse or tears for his 3- and 4-year-old grandchildren, and comforts his son. I'm going to show you that clip, And then I'm going to show you Chris's demeanor during a few other parts of the confession, because I think it's rather remarkable to note when he has his biggest meltdown of the entire interview. Okay, where we're picking up here is they've just told Chris that they'll bring in his dad, Ronnie, and they're bringing him in while we wait for Ronnie. I just want to thank Twisted True Cindy for this excellent rabbit hole deep dive.
Polygraph failed it. There's too much emotion. It's they're not gonna let me go.
The captions are extremely helpful.
Is there any reason why I shouldn't mention them? They know I had an affair.
So right here, Chris says, they know I had an affair, which tells you that Ronnie already knew, his dad already knew that Chris was having an affair. I think that's key.
They know. I can't think about that. They know you had an affair.
And it was revealed in text messages that Ronnie knew about the affair.
What's going on? Or what happened or anything? Really thinking about. When we had that conversation that morning, it was emotional. It was told her about separation and everything like that. What happened after that? I went downstairs and I want to protect her. What? I want to protect her.
See, here's the similarity between Chris Watts and Larry. Chris Watts, at this point in his life, is angry at Shanann. He doesn't like her. He was so angry at her by this point in his life that he wanted to kill her because he wanted to be with his mistress, Nicole. And also, Ronnie Watts and Cindy Watts had been campaigning for years for Chris to leave Shanann, and they had villainized her and are currently still villainizing Shanann, even though it is well known that Chris killed all three of these people. They continue to this day to try to blame the murder of the two children on Shanann. So watch how Chris now takes that softball that was given to him by the detective and pitches it right back over to Ronnie, and Ronnie just takes it.
I don't know what else to say. Huh? She hurt him? Yeah. And then what now? I hurt her. You hurt her.
I had to hurt her. I didn't have to call the ambulance.
So she started hurting again.
Okay, so you get the idea. I'm going to fast forward a little bit here because what you'll see is that what Ronnie does as they get to the part where Chris says he finally gets that Chris is confessing to killing his wife. Watch Ronnie's first reaction. I'm so sorry.
Like, in her heart, I know she knew about the affair. She just was waiting for me to say something.
So my point here is that what Chris needed most out of life was to protect his image with his family, his friends, and his girlfriend. So now the detectives have come back into the room and he has started to tell the detectives his story, and the entire time his father is not only comforting him but defending him and furthering the story on his behalf. And the thing I want you to pay attention to is his level of emotion during this entire time, until the next thing I'm going to show you in the next clip.
What happened? Something hurt. Solution. Where were you at? Right there. I put it back in our bed. Sure. And you were bed? What happened next? I don't know what to do. I have no idea what to do.
My theory is that every time they ask him a
I'm shaking.
detailed question and he doesn't know the answer because he didn't think it through, he says, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do.
Blue and they're gone. I'm not that person, like.
I'm not that person. Yes, you are. See how important it is for him to come across as a certain person?
Like I did the same thing to her.
I had to do the same thing to her that she did but didn't do.
What happened after she was in your bed?
Shanann bad.
You know what to do.
I didn't know what to do. He's a little more emotional here because they continue to press him on where they are. They keep asking him, where are they? Where are they? And he's getting more whiny, but it's unclear whether he's actually crying, but he sounds more emotional. And you can hear here that his father is picking up for him.
I told you that I still love you, no matter what. Could you let someone kiss the butt?
He doesn't even need a tissue.
It'll be the same again.
Nothing will ever be the same again for him.
When you came in, was your wife
Thinking about
on top of her,
himself.
right when you came in? So you saw it in person?
I saw the mom, and that's when I rushed in. So I went in there to talk to her again.
And when you came in, she was right there on top
She
of
was
you?
right there.
Okay.
Her hands on her throat.
There's Ronnie telling the story. He's not there.
Were you trying to save Cece?
Hard to go and say. She wasn't moving. Her head spinning over left like that.
I don't believe this act for one moment.
So where did you put them out there? Because that's really important. Just what's gonna happen?
We're gonna help him get out of there.
Okay, now watch.
Like what?
This is what I want you to watch now. He asks them what's going to happen, and they talk about we need to get the kids out of there because he's told them that I put them in the tanks where I work, in the oil tanks. The detective is saying we need to get them out of there, so we need you to help us. Just listen how that unfolds.
Would you prefer them with one of your coworkers?
Oh my God, no, no, no.
Okay.
I can't have that.
Where's Bree from?
You said that Your vet thinks I'm a good man. They're gonna say this. You're gonna be like, what the fuck did you do, Chris? Like, let's just go to college to begin with.
Well, they weren't in your shoes. They don't know.
I know.
They weren't living your life.
I know, but still, it's like,
People are gonna
I can never, like,
We'll just go little steps at a time. How about that?
I can't have anybody show you out there, anybody, no coworkers, please.
Okay.
I mean, they're just gonna form their own opinions anyways once they figure everything out anyway.
We'll just take little steps tonight then. How about that?
Yeah, do you have to have any of them with you?
No?
No, we prefer you.
Can you and me and Tammy and Ronnie get in the car and just drive out there?
General direction.
We just point? Chris, I know they're gone, but they're still your babies, and you're still their
You
dad.
don't want to go there.
I don't want to.
You don't want someone else to find them out there. You don't, I promise you.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is when Chris Watts has the biggest emotional meltdown. Is when they suggest that maybe he go out there to get his babies out of the oil tanks, and that maybe his coworkers might see and help them. Through 12 hours of confession and interviews, and after all of that, even after telling his father, his hero, that he killed his wife because supposedly she killed their daughters. No tears, no tears, no tears. But oh my God, my coworkers and everybody might find out that I'm not a good man. So it might give you a little bit of a clue as to what is going on in another person's head right now, as we all go looking for his wife's whereabouts. Keep that in mind. Just a few last notes. Based on the similarities between these two human beings, I believe that Maya's husband is monitoring all social media activity out there about him. Maya's husband says that he went out with his son on Friday morning from 6 a.m. until around 4 p.m. that evening, leaving his daughters at home with Maya, and that when he came home, she was locked in her room, but that he heard her later. I want to know, Larry, where she was between Thursday, when she was last seen, and Friday morning when you left with your son to go to the beach. I saw a comment on a YouTube thread that said that a neighbor saw Maya's husband's car backed into their garage, just like Chris Watts's, but I haven't seen that confirmed anywhere. If that's true, I want to know exactly where Maya's husband went that day. And since the car's been impounded, I bet they will be able to track that on the car's GPS. Maya's husband left his phone at home that day. That's not only suspicious behavior, it's irresponsible, since his children and wife were home alone. And did he take his wife's car so her scent would be in the car and it would be thrown off by any dogs? If that's what he was doing. I am most definitely not law enforcement or a lawyer or a therapist, but my assessment is that the answers are in the GPS tracker in Maya's car. I believe that if law enforcement found her in the house, they would have charged her husband by now. And that means he would have had to transport her out of the house. It seems to have happened sometime between Thursday afternoon and Friday afternoon in Maya's car. The transportation, that is. I also believe that Maya's husband is trying to throw law enforcement off track with his suggestions by saying that she was kidnapped, went with friends, or may have got lost hiking. You know, in one case he says she likes to hike and she hikes all the time and she does all these challenges and stuff. But then he says she isn't experienced and wears fabuletics. There's also a considerable amount of shade thrown at her, just like in the Shanann case. One last thing I've noticed about Maya's case is, where's her husband's family? Not one of them seemed to have come out in support of finding her. And her husband has not participated in one search, Scott Peterson style. It's as if they can't bear to be seen in case, they might see like the guilt on their face or something. Conjecture, my opinion only. I believe the similarities in these cases are just too important to overlook. When we ignore history, we're doomed to relive it. As my former boss, Steve Jobs, used to say, one more thing. If Maya's family is watching, please, 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 I implore you to pay close attention to the children. If what I am saying about the very, very stark similarities between Chris Watts and Maya's husband, it's very possible that the children are not safe, because what Larry cares the most about is his image and how he looks. And there might be we don't know what caused whatever he might have done. Again, this is complete conjecture. But what is most important is finding May and keeping those children safe. And I know that you all believe that as well. And that's probably what you're doing. But after what I've just presented here, I hope you'll see that also those children are going to immediately go into trauma therapy. Don't wait. They need help immediately. They need somebody to put them through some sort of grief care to deal with the trauma of what they're going through right now. Please share this video to whomever you believe might find it interesting or useful, and please be kind to everyone. You have no idea what's going on in someone else's private life, and life sucks for most people. Have a great day.